This is episode 48 of the Super Parent Syndrome with your host, Dr. Nick Fanning. And today's episode is The Kids Are Sick of the Sick. So sit back and relax, enjoy the episode, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Parenting in the 21st century is ever evolving. And while you balance work, kids, and your sanity, it's easy to feel discouraged. Welcome to the Super Parent Syndrome with your host, Dr. Nick Fanning.
Bump, bump, bump. Our kids have strep throat. And any parent who has had kids who has had strep throat in their house. And as you know, it has high fever, almost sometimes scary, which is never any fun. But my whole point is this, is that our son first came down with it, and he was receiving lots and lots of attention. And I'm not talking, obviously time with mom and dad, getting snuggles, getting to watch his favorite stuff on TV because he's just really couldn't do anything but lay there. Getting Gatorade or getting Pedialyte, which, to any other small child, Pedialyte looks like amazing stuff until you actually try it. Getting watermelon and, honestly just being waited on hand and foot. Well, I got to give it to my oldest, who's 7. She was displeased by this. So she definitely was vocal about this and thinking like, well, it's not fair. It's not fair that Deagan gets this. It's not fair that Deagan gets that. I want this. I want extra time with mom. I want to snuggle with dad. Blah, blah, blah. And, as adults, we look at this and are like, this kid doesn't understand. And, obviously he's getting this because he's sick. Don't freak out. Come on, don't be rude because of blah, blah, blah. And that's the big phrase is don't be rude. And as adults, we've learned to shut off expressing our needs, which is a double-edged sword. So we understand when it's appropriate to, but we've almost taken this to an extreme. And my whole point of it is this. A kid is so good about reaching out about what they truly desire. And it can be love. It can be obviously a snack or a toy. We've all been there for that. But really, if we just break it down, a kid is so good about asking for what it wants. And I want to go back into love. So folks, what I mean by that for you is that as adults, we've almost turned this off. And so we don't tell our spouse, please hold my hand. Or we don't tell our boyfriend or girlfriend, please put down the phone so I can talk to you. We don't tell our children, hey, the reason why I really want you to do this is X, Y, Z, not just because of this. Because I said so. It's also because maybe we don't tell our boss, by the way, stop keeping me so late because I have a family I want to get back to. Or, pay me, you need to pay me more because I can barely make ends meet. Or whatever it might be. And so what ends up happening is we bottle up this frustration. We don't express it. And so we hold it in. We do the daily grind. And then someday, and I'm going to be extreme here, obviously. This isn't the case for everybody. That will lead to quitting your job. This will lead to hating going to work and therefore being more unproductive and therefore people not wanting to be around you. But more importantly, also this could lead with your spouse to an emotional affair with somebody else or even a physical affair. Or, honestly, it could lead to divorce. I've had experience with that, and I can tell you that I've totally did not express what I want. And I can tell you this, I was not even open to what my spouse wanted at the time. So it took a big area of growth to make sure I broke that pattern with my new marriage. So folks, I am coming from an area of experience with this. Now with my current, with Alicia, we are very good about telling each other what our needs are. What we call is real and raw, but we stay relevant. But the whole thing is that we are not ashamed to tell what we really want. And we may say like, okay, well, I totally understand that. Thank you for sharing with that. And sometimes we talk about it then, and sometimes we just say, thanks for sharing. My point really is this. Sometimes you have to adopt this whole notion of your needs really are that important, and that you have to be almost courageous to sometimes tell those. And once you do that, you get a lot more courageous to do it more and more. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is not anybody thinks like this. And so for us, those that are listening to this podcast, and by the way, maybe you should share this podcast, hint, hint, is this. The people that we love most in our lives, we need to be proactive and seek out what their needs may be. Okay, let that sink in. Seek out what their needs may be. And so what I want you to do is I want you to do one of two things. One, list out all those people that are super in your inner circle. So I mean spouse, kids, your parents, your brothers and sisters, their families, whomever that you really consider yourself to be close. Best friends, friends from college, whatever you want. And then I want you to designate that no matter what, no matter how crappy your day is or how busy you get, what is your bare minimum to contact them? So obviously you would say spouse and kids daily, so you put a big D there. So that way you know that no matter what, you're going to touch upon them or you're going to put a deposit into their love bank once a day. And for maybe your parents, you would say once a week. Now, I know some of you says like, no, that's every day for me. And that's fine. And, for me, I try to do twice a week. Okay, I'm just not that close. But anyway, twice a week. So I just put weekly. So no matter what, if things went terrible, at least once a week, no matter what, I'd get in contact with them. And then there are those that should be monthly, like, I would say my Aunt Linda. My Aunt Linda is a business owner. She's super busy, but I try to stay in contact with her once a month, okay? It's not dire. It's just more out of being polite and being a family member. Anybody that would be less than once a month, folks, just cross them off your list. It'll take care of itself anyway. But I implore you to also use technology to your advantage. And what I mean by that is that I use an app called ToodleDo, which allows me to set up recurring tasks. And so I can set that task of, once a week or once a day or on Mondays and Wednesdays or whatever it might be to make sure that repeats so I can make sure I stay in contact with my loved ones. Now, some of you are like, well, that's kind of shallow. I can't believe you'd have to do something like that. Well, I got to tell you, folks, I own a business. I own several businesses. I have 4 kids. I'm trying to do this podcast in my spare time. All these things are going on. It is nice to have a backup system so that way nobody falls through the cracks. Yeah, and half the time, I am just checking these boxes. It was like, duh, of course, boom, doom, boom, boom, boom. And I'm not talking about elaborate check-ins, folks. It could be just honestly a text message saying, hey, Mom, I just wanted to say, I remember that one time where you did X, Y, Z for me, and I can tell you that I've been really loving the fact that I get to do that for my own kids. Boom, done. That took 40 seconds, and what a memory to share with your mom. It could be more complex. It could be sticky notes for your wife on the mirror or using a dry erase marker on the mirror to write her a love note. Or it could be telling your kids an affirmation of saying like, hey, I see beauty, intelligence, and that you're a really good friend. I would love to have a friend like you someday. Whatever it might be, folks, it only takes moments. And so what I'm saying, like when you're developing your list, be proactive in what you think that their love would be. For some, they're not going to want messages or text messages. They're going to want you to do things or to buy them stuff. My wife is a gifts of giving, so it might be, I might get her some bath salts from Bed Bath & Beyond, or I might get her a kombucha so that she can drink and enjoy that. But it's those little tiny deposits that are going to make the biggest impact. So that's your homework. 1, be fearless in expressing what you want and need in life. Don't bottle it up because it's going to come back and explode on you. And then 2, make sure that you're proactive with the ones you love to see what you can do to provide for them. So those are your 2 pieces of homework. I hope you share this podcast because there's a lot of people that need this message. If you haven't checked out my Facebook page, please do so. And just know that I'm in your corner, folks. I know us parents need to stick together. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. All right, it's including content for these podcasts. I would love some inspiration. So, signing off for this is Dr. Nick Fanning, and this is for another episode of the Super Parent Syndrome. And hope all is well, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Super Parent Syndrome. Please be sure to visit peptalksforparents.com for more content and our free newsletter. And remember, you are not alone.